Welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today I'm going to be bringing you some spooky and steamy Halloween romance book recommendations. So I've got 10 book recommendations today that are all romance books that I think are just going to be perfect for Halloween. They are spooky, maybe a little bit creepy. Some are very cozy but extra Halloween themed. I believe all of them take place on Halloween. You're going to see pumpkins and skeletons and creepy vampires and witches and all of that jazz. There are mostly, I think, are fantasy, but I think I have some contemporary too in here, and it's just going to be a really good time. So 6 of these books I have read, and 4 of them are on my TBR. 2 of them I've actually started and I'm still planning on reading. One I'm kind of currently reading, but we'll just go ahead and get into this list. Before we do though, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the like button. It really helps my channel grow. Comment down below and let me know what your recommendations are for a Halloween romance book. And also let me say that some of these loosely qualify as romance. They may be more on the erotic short story end of things, but they're still going to be a really fun time. So the first book here I have is going to be Hollow, and this is by C.M. Niscasa. So this is actually a short novella followed by a regular to longish length novella. So it's 2 different stories in here. The first one is MMM, and it's a short story about, I think, is it Ichabod Crane maybe? But it takes place basically in a locker room. And in this version, this fantasy version of Sleepy Hollow, there are Doulahan. They're like headless horsemen, right? Well, imagine all of the interesting things that a group of men might be able to do together while carrying their heads separate from their bodies. It's an erotic short, so just use your imagination. It probably happens in this book. And that was just a super fun, short, smutty, good time. And then the second book, the second story in this book, is longer, and this is about Katrina von Tassel. One night she comes across the Headless Horseman when she's on her way home, and I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a romance between the 2 of them. She's got a little bit of a friends or maybe even enemies, I don't know, with benefits with Brahm. But then she's also got this thing going on with the Headless Horseman, but the Headless Horseman only appears in fall, and then he disappears after, I think it's after Halloween. So maybe November 1st. And it's on Halloween that he's the most in his own body. So she can fully touch him and everything like that. So it's kind of I don't want to spoil too much, but I really had a good time with it. It's very spicy in classic C.M. Niscasa form. This is a very spicy book. I know a lot of people don't like the ending, but I personally thought it was super fun. I had a really great time with this one. This book is definitely not for everyone. Don't expect a sweet, just nice romance going into it. This is just, it's kind of bonkers. It's really bonkers, to be honest, but it's really, really fun. So the next book I have for you is Spookly Yours by Jennifer Chipman. Now this is more of that sweet romance kind of thing. So this is almost in a Halloween town type setting. It's a magical town, and there are witches, and our main character is a witch. Our heroine's a witch, and she comes across this black cat who she thinks is going to be her new familiar. Well, it turns out he's a demon, and the 2 of them have a romance together, and it's really, really cute. Her sister owns a bakery, and I think the heroine makes the coffee at the bakery, some kind of dynamic like that. So there's a really cute pumpkin spice themed kind of coffee shop bakery situation, and then the whole town is doing all of these different fall themed activities. So there's a corn maze and hay rides, there's pumpkin patch picking, lots of apple cider. The whole book has ultimate fall vibes, but especially very October Halloween type of vibes. I really had a good time with this. It is spicy too, so it's not this is probably, I don't know, maybe a 2.5, 3 on the spice scale. So it's pretty spicy, but it's also short. I believe it's maybe around the 200 page length, but it's also really sweet. I think the second book just came out, and it's about her sister, and I'm interested in that one too. I do have to say as well that the cover for this one is just fully on point. Like, it's full Halloween and spooky time vibes, but like super cozy. So the next one I have here is a very short, this is almost like a short story, like novelette type of book, and it's called Trick, and it's by Shay Sanders. And this one is a contemporary book, and it's about this couple who has been set up on this blind date. And I believe their blind date actually takes place on a hayride, like that's their blind date. But things don't go quite as planned, and they basically have to try to salvage the date. And it's very cute. There's not really much to say about it because I guess if I go any farther past that bit of synopsis, it's kind of ruined. Like, even if you look at the synopsis on Goodreads, it's very, very short. This is like a short story kind of thing. But it's a cute contemporary short story set on Halloween. If you're looking for like a really quick read, you just want to sit down, you've got maybe 30 minutes or so, you just want to sit down, read something like Halloween themed, this is a really good one to pick. And it's really cute. It's really cute, but sexy too at the same time. Like, it's still spicy. Okay, if we're going back on the bonkers train, probably even more bonkers than the C.M. Nascosta book that I already talked about, we have to talk about Layla Faye. She really takes her holidays seriously. Okay, guys. Especially Halloween. Like, she has a new one I'm going to talk about later, but this is like probably one of her most famous books, and it's called Jack, and it's about a pumpkin king type of monster. He's got a pumpkin head, okay, and he's got pumpkin spice flavored other things. Okay, one night we have our heroine. She's alone on Halloween, and she somehow wishes upon, or maybe it's like tarot cards, or it's some kind of something like that. She somehow magics herself Jack, and Jack appears, and Jack is a kinky, rough mofo, okay, and he has a crazy time with her. This is very short too. This is extremely spicy, like way up there on the spice scale. And it's also bonkers, so don't expect anything to make any kind of sense. Like, just, you roll with it, just roll with it. And it's very Halloween-y. I just have to say that. And I want to leave the rest as a surprise for you, because and that's if you have not already heard of this, because I feel like a lot of people have talked about this one, especially if you look up like Halloween romance books. It comes up on a lot of them, though I would say it's not really romance. It's like more of like an erotica type of book. It's popular for a reason. It's a good time. It's a really good time. The next is another kind of erotic short with a monster, and this one is called Scream for the Scarecrow. I adored this one. I thought it was super unique. Since then, I've seen a few more Scarecrow type Halloween romance novellas come out, and I'm very interested in trying some more, but this one was so good. Our main character, so she and her friend go to this pumpkin patch, and they have like a super cute time. It's on Halloween, and she has some apple cider with her friend, and they have a good time. Then they go back to their apartment. She realizes that she's left her wallet. I think it's her wallet that she has left at the pumpkin patch. So she goes back, but while she was originally there at the pumpkin patch, she saw this scarecrow, like, just kind of in passing, and kind of just, it's noted, I guess, for you that she saw it. Well, when she goes back, the scarecrow comes alive. So he's been cursed, and he's like, was a person, I think, of some sort. He's been cursed by a witch to live as a scarecrow, and he can only experience human existence once a year on Halloween. Well, yeah, she shows up while he is in his physical form, and he chases her. So if you're into primal, then this one's a good one, because he chases her and he catches her, and that is the short of it. I thought it was a good time too, and I really, I almost wish there was a second one. Like, I feel like there is room. Like, I'd like to know a little bit more. I want to know more about this kind of scenario, you know? That one's really good and super steamy, super spicy, and it takes place in a pumpkin patch. I mean, like, come on. Like, how much more Halloween can you get? So this one, I think part of it does take place on Halloween, but I'm not 100%. Let me know in the comments if you know, but I had to include it. This is the one that's, I guess, the least Halloween themed of all of the books on this list, but I just had to include it because it feels so Halloween to me, and that is Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. This is about a demon and a ghost hunter. So she comes back to her hometown. She has a YouTube channel and she does videos about like finding hauntings basically, and she catches the ire of a local coven, and she somehow summons this demon who the coven's been using, and she does so, I think she gets a hold of like their book or something like that. Anyway, she's not on their good side, and it is a very dark, demonic, lots of like, I would say like rough CNC Dubcon kind of like scenarios in here, just so you know. Our demon is a bit monstrous. Like, he's mostly human, but there's a few like monstrous features about him. Like, I think his tongue, and possibly, does he have like claws? I don't know. He's got a couple of like monstrous features. She also lives, like our heroine also lives like in a cabin in the woods, and it talks about there being like a lot of fog and mist. It takes place in the Pacific Northwest as well, which I feel like is a very atmospheric setting for fall and Halloween books. It makes me think of like Twilight, and I feel like this is like super smutty adult Twilight fan fiction, to be honest. But it's really good. You have like the dark witchy coven. Like, this is probably one of the more original horror romances. If you think, like, there's a lot more out now, but this is a horror romance or romantic horror, or like, it's romance with a lot of horror elements in it. So make sure you check the trigger warnings for this, really for all of the books on this list, especially this one. Like, check the trigger warnings before going into it, because there's a lot of stuff in here that might not be for everyone. But it's a really good book. It's not a novella, it's full length. It's actually a pretty long book. I think it's like in the 500 page kind of page range, but it's really good. So the next 4 books that I'm going to talk about are books that I have not finished yet. Okay, so the first one is For the Love of Fritters and Frights. So the cover page I have up here is the one that's on Kindle Unlimited, but I think the cover on Goodreads is different, and they don't even have the Kindle one up there. I'm not sure why, but I actually like this one better, the Kindle one. And this is about a vampire, and I still don't know who the hero is. I'm literally 20 pages in. I just started this book today, and I was hooked, but then I had to go run errands, so that happened. This one actually takes place in a very Halloween town type of like town. And like I said, our heroine's a vampire. Like, she spends extra time at the local bookstore, and I think the 2 owners are like witches. In the very beginning, she's like sipping hot apple cider with them at the bookstore, but there's like all kinds of really cool creatures already being shown in here, some of which are like not the normal. Like, there's zombies, there's vampires, there's witches, there's ghosts, but there's also like this, I don't know if it's like a pumpkin creature, a pumpkin spidery kind of creature. I can't figure it out, but it sounds like he's like a mixture between a pumpkin and a spider. I'm not really sure, but there's all kinds of different creatures. The heroine owns an inn, so yeah, very cozy, Halloween town-esque, but like mix that with a Hallmark movie, but add, from what I've heard, a lot of spice. I've heard it gets pretty spicy too. I think this might be my perfect Halloween book. I don't know yet for sure, but I think it might be my perfect Halloween book. I will obviously catch up with you guys and let you know my final thoughts on the book, but I'm loving it so far. I don't know the full synopsis, and I think mostly because I've gone into it blind and I'm enjoying myself so much, I really don't want to read the full synopsis and spoil anything for myself. I'm just going to continue on. So that's all of the information I can give you. So next one I have Violet Taylor's Ours for Halloween. This one I really like the cover for. This is a why choose dark romance that I think is paranormal or monster. I think that most of Violet Taylor's books are like monster romance, but don't quote me on that. Maybe that's just because the 2 I've read by her were monster romance. She actually was the author of Scream for the Scarecrow. And then I also read one by her called Jack. I believe it was Jack. It was about Jack Frost. So it was like a super wintry, icy type of book. Yeah, so it looks like our heroine ends up following this masked stranger into the woods, which probably not the best idea, but I guess it turns out well for her. He kind of saves her when she gets into some trouble. So she ends up following him into the woods. And I think that obviously there's some other masked strangers that join them. And it's supposed to be a paranormally kind of monstery type of why choose erotic romance. I don't know much more. I think it's supposed to be dark. I think it's supposed to be very spicy. I believe there's primal play and a few other kinks as well. It looks really good. And like I said, I've really enjoyed the other Violet Taylor novellas that were like monster novellas that I've read before. So I'm very interested in this one. This one is not on KU though, just so you know. You do have to purchase that one. And then the next is a book that I started, but I was reading too many books at the time, so I put it down, but I want to continue on, especially I do want to try to read this. Right now is Novellathon, and I want to read this possibly still for Novellathon. And this is a sapphic, like spooky Halloween type of book. This is actually in a town that I think is like a Halloween all year kind of town. And I think that these are all paranormal creatures that are hiding in plain sight. You know that one of the heroines is coming to like visit her sister, and she is just like a regular human. She doesn't know that paranormal creatures exist. And so she finds that out when she visits her sister. And then the other heroine, she accidentally summons her ex-girlfriend as a ghost, and the ghost of her ex-girlfriend cannot leave her now the way she summoned her until she finds the next, like her next girlfriend. I guess the way that she summons her, she basically summons her saying, like, I need you to help me move on. But somehow in the spell, that means she's accidentally linked her to her. So she's stuck with her ex-girlfriend ghost following her around while she apparently is going to be having this romance with the other heroine, which sounds really cute and kind of hilarious and really funny. And I was reading just the beginning part. Like I think I only read the first maybe 20 or 30 pages of this. And it was really cute. And the town is really cute and super like cozy and Halloween-y and very like fall vibes. So, and it's sapphic, and I want more sapphic in my life. So that one definitely would recommend based on what I've read so far of it. And I can't wait to continue on and finish it. Finally, my last one I'm going to recommend is a book that I have not read, but I'm recommending it because of Layla Faye. And Layla Faye writes crazy, hilariously awesome monster romance. And this one she is hyping up big time right now, and it's totally on my radar. And I think it is about, it's a why choose, and there's these 3 skeleton-faced monsters that are having a romance with this girl. So I think but I think it might actually be MMMF. So I think it might be like more like poly, but I could be wrong. But I keep seeing all kinds of stuff all over Instagram, all over everywhere about this book. And so I just had to mention it kind of as like, this is on my radar. I am definitely considering reading this, and I wanted to like bring it to y'all's attention. If you haven't already seen it, it's supposed to be super sexy. And I know Layla Faye is like super excited about it. She's like pumping it a lot, putting it out there a lot. And it sounds like it's going to be really kinky and sexy and hot. And the whole skeleton skull face thing, intriguing. Very intriguing. So I did want to mention that one. So that's all 10 books I wanted to talk about today. These are Halloween romances, giving you lots of spookiness, lots of spice, I hope, and everything nice. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like button and comment down below. Let me know your recommendations for Halloween romances. And also, don't forget, I have recently opened up my Patreon again. We are going to be doing a readathon coming up, which I'm really excited about. That's going to be in the beginning of November. It's a 48-hour readathon all about accomplishing our goals, what goals we set out for ourselves at the beginning of the year, and really like putting extra effort into completing those and just like helping each other do that. And I'm really excited. I think I'm going to be concentrating on reading books that are on my physical bookshelves because those are still out of control. I apparently have made no progress. I don't know how, but here we are. All the links are down below in the description. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and click the notification bell to be notified every time I post new videos. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
'Cause you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.